Yeah! I am the master of all I survey.
まさかと思ったが、貴様をちほどにもないわ。
Kiss.
貴様か。わしを倒せるとでも思っおるのか。わしを倒せるとでも思っちほどにもないわ。話にならんな。ここで死ね。
Ah, you slimy, spiky-haired little bastard! Get back here and fulfill my every sexual whim. Oh, shit. Oh. Hey, man, we could talk about.
貴様をここで終わらせる。
Oh, shit. Oh, ow, 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 ow! Oh!
What's up, player? Yeah. And living that talking head. Coming to you live with Daigo, VRified Games. How we doing, Daigo?
Round 1.
I'm round, and I am one. Well, what's your point, man?
Fight.
Hey, well, calm the fuck down.
Hi, Ed. Tekken. We're looking at Tekken 7.
You're looking at Taken. They made 7. There are 6 sequels to Liam Neeson's Taken? How many times they can tell the same story?
No, not Taken. Tekken.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, Tekken, you know. It's a 3D fighter.
Uh-huh.
Namco's kind of competitor to Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Oh man, come on, Ed. There's 8 of them now. Tekken 8 is almost upon us.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, it doesn't ring a bell, man.
Ed, Jesus. Okay. Alright. Okay guys, so we're gonna split this up into 3 parts basically.
Yeah, so just watch along. We're gonna split this into 3 parts
Why'd
where...
you sneak in here? Man, you looking buff. You been hitting the roids?
I know, man. Yeah. Yeah, the chicks love it.
Round 2.
The stick back hair. The huge goddamn eyebrows.
Guys,
Can't
come on,
get enough.
focus.
Right, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Jeez.
sorry, man.
So yeah, we're gonna split it up into 3 parts here. Look at timestamps in the description if you want to skip all our usual waffle here. So you're gonna have third-person VR, we're gonna have first-person VR, and we're gonna have third/first-person mixed reality. So you can skip along to any one of those tutorials there to play the version you want.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. You can play Tekken 7 in VR right out of the box as though you were a spectator. Just one person standing in the crowd watching these 2 meatheads kind of battle it out. Fantastic. There's also a first-person perspective with some tweaking that you can control, which is really cool. And you can play both of those modes also in mixed reality. So yeah, we're going to go through how you can do that exactly right now.
Ooh, man, but what the hell is Tekken?
Okay, so way back in the mid to late 90s, there was a craze that sprung up from Street Fighter Mortal Kombat, which everyone wanted a slice of. The 2-player side-on arcade fighter, also known as beat 'em up. Now, Street Fighter was a huge success for Capcom. Everyone was copying the formula of a one-on-one brawler that you could play. So, like, you had Neo Geo with their King of Fighters / Art of Fighting. You obviously had Midway's Mortal Kombat, which was almost like the heavy metal version of Street Fighter. It was more gore, more adult, more graphic, more violent. And there was a host of others. Lots of copycats. Sega and Nintendo got in on the action with the home console. Not only did they do ports, but they did different, I want to say rip-offs, but I don't know if that's even correct. Rip-off or homage. Anyway, in the mid to late 90s, you walked into a game store, you were flooded with images of these 1v1 fighters, and they were so popular back then, especially in the arcades and later in the home console market. So, in an ocean of copycats, how do you compete? Well, you do something different, okay? So Sega came out the gates with their Virtua series, okay, which was basically 3D polygonal arcade games, which of course they would later be ported to Sega Saturn, etc. But back then they were arcade exclusive, the Virtua series. And you had Virtua Racing, Virtua Tennis, Virtua Cop, and these were all basically 3D versions of already existing 2D games. Like Virtua Cop, for instance, was basically Lethal Enforcers, but in 3D with polygons. Virtua Racing, well, it was basically take your pick of any one of the Formula 1 games that existed at the time, Monaco GP, for instance. And that brings me to Virtua Fighter. Now, Virtua Fighter stood head and shoulders above the competition in terms of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat clones. People paid attention to this because it was in this new polygon 3D technology. And they were like, whoa, this is something different. There even seemed to be like physics involved here now. It would later be revealed that these were canned animations, but they looked very convincing at the time. Now, for all of its bells and whistles and all its coolness, the original Virtua Fighter, although a huge success in both arcades and the home console market, was basically a tech demo, okay? You featured a generic cast of characters, you had all the fighting tropes from the 1v1 fighters that we'd seen to date, and that was basically it. The cool factor being that it was now in 3D. So, Namco takes a look at this and goes, okay, I see what you did there, Sega, I like what you've done, but what if there was more meat on the bones? What if we had an actual storyline? What if we had characters that you could relate to, had backstory that you cared about? Because another one of the factors that made Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat so popular at the time was the mythology that was built up around them. The lore, the storylines. This was almost a new mythology that was being built up. So Namco started shopping around, hey, we need one of these kind of games, we're going to make it in 3D like Virtua Fighter, what can we do here? And so some creative types got together and Tekken was born. Tekken had moderate success in the arcades, it was really cool, but where it really took off was on the Sony PlayStation 1. The home console market was where Tekken soared. Tekken sold through the roof for the Sony PlayStation 1 because this was something very new. Up until now you could only experience in the arcades thanks to Sega's Virtua series, but you could play this at home now. You know, stick your disc in your machine and you're there. So the original Tekken sold like hotcakes. For many it was considered a system seller for the PlayStation 1. Fantastic success story. And yep, that kind of brings us to where we are today. 6 sequels later to Tekken 7. Tekken 8 is just around the corner. But yep, it is playable with UEVR.
So Tekken 7 here was the first of the Tekken series to be developed on Unreal Engine. So sadly, there are some bugs here because they highly customized the engine, which UEVR doesn't like all that much. So things like UI, character select, your health bars, etc. Menus don't exactly work here. So it's recommended that you use 2D screen to navigate that, and then when you get in game, to load up your VR runtimes. And yeah, right off the bat, it just works. It just works. Your side-on view, you're like a spectator in the crowd watching these guys pummel the shit out of each other.
It has been recommended by Praydog, creator of UEVR, that you download an additional mod, link in the description, called Tekken Overlay. Now, don't be fooled, it does not mean the on-screen bloody health bars, okay? This is a very robust user interface that you can use to adjust many settings within Tekken 7, but the reason Praydog recommends it is because you can uncap the frames per second, which are normally hard-coded to 30, which for some leads to a very uncomfortable experience in VR. So you can uncap it.
But it also has the added bonus for us of a first-person perspective mod. Yeah, so go ahead and download that, alright? Yeah, now to install Tekken Overlay, it's very simple. Go to the link in the description and download the zip file. Extract that anywhere that's easy for you to remember. Go ahead and run that .exe file, then run the game. That's it. And if you want to play Tekken 7 in first person, scroll down and click it. there you have it. You're in first person. Now, there are also various camera options within the mod. You might notice your head bobbing a lot. So you can stabilize that somewhat by choosing, say, lock onto your opponent's head. That'll stabilize things a little bit, but you can play around with it. There's a few different options there. Yeah, your mileage may vary. And within UEVR, I would also recommend, while in first person, in the UEVR menu here, choose room scale in the controller settings. This will give you a more comfortable experience where you're moving forward and back in real life. There's also options to adjust the camera. Now, you may or may not need to use this. It all depends on what character you're playing as, because the Tekken characters themselves are all various heights, weights, etc. So you may need to adjust the camera. Very easy. Once in the menu, press and hold the right trigger, and you can move the camera up and down using your right thumbstick up and down.
Yeah, man, that's cool. But you said you can play mixed reality?
Yo, yeah, you can. Now, there is something known as green screen mod for Tekken 7. Link in the description.
Alright, so it's a very easy install, actually. Just go ahead, download the file, alright, go to where your Tekken game is installed, open Tekken game, content, in there, make a new folder called Squiggly Line Mod, okay? Yeah, I don't know what that symbol's called. But you see it on screen. Squiggly Line Mod. Just make a new folder. Alright, open that up. And extract your downloaded mod in there. Alright, that's it. Alright, so what this mod essentially does is turns one of your stages into a green screen. Alright, so as you may have pretty much guessed, this only works for one stage. So, if you want to play mixed reality, you gotta do it in versus or practice, or you can play virtual reality / mixed reality all together in one, but when that stage comes up, it's gonna be in mixed reality. Alright, so you just choose the stage as your one. That's your new green screen stage for mixed reality. Alright, so once you're all loaded in, and you see that green screen and everything, very easy. We're going to use virtual desktop here. Press and hold the menu button on your left controller until the virtual desktop menu appears. Alright, scroll down to streaming. Okay, now here in the settings, make sure you don't go higher than the high setting or else it won't work. Make sure your FPS doesn't go above 90 and that your Snapdragon booster has been switched off. Any of those settings will mess with your pass-through. Alright. Now scroll down to pass-through, press OK. Look at our settings on screen. This is what we have. Now your mileage may vary, so you can play around with it, but this is pretty damn close. Alright. When you all load back in game, you're gonna see that you're now in your environment with your characters there in front of you. Alright, mixed reality, baby. Alright, so, considering everyone's play space is different, no two rooms are the same, etc., everyone's setup is gonna be slightly different here, so there's no point in really uploading a profile for the mixed reality. But here's some settings that will help you out. Alright. So open up your UEVR menu. Alright. And you may need to adjust the camera here to make sure the characters fit exactly in your play space, like they're standing on your floor, etc. So very simple. Press and hold the right trigger. Up, down, left, right on your left controller controls up, down, left, right of the camera. And up, down on your right controller moves the camera up and down. So adjust that, fine tune it until you get the characters standing roughly where they would be in real life. Now, if you notice the characters are too big or too small, you can adjust the world scale. So just go here, alright? And this slider, move it left or right to adjust the world scale. Left makes things bigger, right makes things smaller. Alright? And finally, you're going to want to lock them in place so you can walk around them, etc. So go to this setting here, alright? Freeze camera position, freeze camera rotation. Enable those, and when you're back in game, the characters will stay put, and you're able to move around them. You're not going to get seasick because of weird camera movements or anything like that, so it's quite cool.
Now, what's cool is this mode also works with the aforementioned first-person mode from the Tekken UI mod that we had already covered. So if you want to go ahead and play first-person mixed reality, you absolutely can as well. And that's it. Those are 3 ways that you can experience Tekken 7 in VR, in mixed reality, in third person, in first person, completely up to you. Hell, you can even do all 3 at once. Alright, enjoy. So I guess we're gonna leave it there, you guys. Like, comment and subscribe. If you've any thoughts, queries, any critiques, put them down below. If indeed there are any games you'd like us to look at VRifying in the future, put those down below and we will presumably get back to you eventually. You can also follow us on TikTok for our adventures over there, which are basically condensed versions of what we do over here. And yeah, follow us on all social medias, all links will be in the descriptions, and yeah, looking forward to seeing you there also. Alright, VRified Games out.